That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Jungleland, the third film directed by Max Winkler, which premiered at the 2019 Toronto International Film Festival and is being released courtesy of Paramount Pictures and Vertical Entertainment as of November 6th, 2020.
This film is about two brothers. Mm-hmm. Charlie Hunnam plays Stanley, and
Jack O'Connell is Lion.
Stanley and Lion. Mm-hmm. Lion is a boxer. Mm-hmm. Stanley is like kind of his manager. Mm-hmm. We find them living in like they're squatting.
Yeah.
In some big ass house in New England somewhere.
I think it's Massachusetts.
Probably Massachusetts. They are. I totally just forgot the story.
Okay, so
I just said it, now I forgot it. What is the movie about?
There's a lot of money. Lion is supposed to win this match, like in some hovel, but he loses.
That's right. Stanley signs his brother up to fight and like bets money on it, mm-hmm. like kind of really banking on the fact that his brother will win. So we go to the fight.
But yeah.
Lion is doing a good job until he sees this bad guy come in. Like he's like some guy who's been involved in criminal activity and they have a history together. Mm-hmm. So when Lion sees this guy, he gets distracted and then Lion gets knocked out. Mm-hmm. So he loses the fight. But Stanley was banking on that money to pay back the bad guy.
Which is Pepper, played by Jonathan Majors.
That's the black guy?
Yeah, from Lovecraft Country and The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
But the black man, he works for a bigger bad guy. So after Lion loses the fight, the bad guy takes them to his place.
They're trying to flee, and he kidnaps them with his henchman, played by Fran Kranz, who's in a kind of a wasted role, I thought. But.
So the bad guy tells Stanley and Lion, either we kill you or you give us our money. And the only way you're going to get our money is if we enter you in some fight in San Francisco where the top prize is $100,000. Like this bare knuckle fight.
That's called Jungleland.
That's called Jungleland.
A bare knuckle battle royale.
In addition to making your way to San Francisco, you need to traffic this young woman, to San Francisco to then give her to the head guy.
He doesn't quite know.
He doesn't know who he's taking her to, but that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
So they have to agree, otherwise they're gonna die. So they're given like an envelope with cash and keys to an old Land Rover, mm-hmm. and they make their way with this woman. Mm-hmm. So on the first night, it's confusing like what her deal is. Like they're not quite sure who she's going to and what she needs to do when she gets there, but they don't care. They're taking her.
She's also not forthcoming with them.
Right. So the first night they stay in this like fancy, cheesy casino hotel, and which
is called the Venus de Milo.
She ends up drugging Lion with Xanax while Stanley is off having sex with some random lady. Mm-hmm. And her intention was to run away. So she steals the Land Rover.
We think. Like, it's very unclear.
It's unclear why she drugged him, but she does drug him and she does steal the Land Rover. She tries to escape, but before she can get half a block, she gets into a car accident, so she's unsuccessful. Then we transition to Stanley attempting to get the Land Rover fixed, but he doesn't have any money. So that's a thing. They end up making their way to San Francisco via bus, because Stanley sells Lion's dog. They get to San Francisco, but before they arrive, Lion and the lady have developed a relationship and they decide to like abandon Stanley.
Her chosen name is Sky.
So
Barden.
Lion and Sky abandon Stanley. So when Stanley gets off the bus, the henchmen for the big guy meet him there somehow. Don't know how they knew he'd be there. They take him to the bad guy, who's this old crusty white man.
Yates, played by Jack Cullum from Northern Exposure, who's kind of...
Oh, that's the man from North... Oh.
Yeah, who kind of... If I wasn't looking for him, I thought, oh, he looks like Roger Corman. But.
So, of course, Yates is not happy that Stanley does not have his woman in tow, but we find out the reason she was being trafficked to this man was he got her pregnant with his son, and he wants to make sure that she bears his son.
As a surrogate, like it's he had most of his little speeches about how his penis doesn't work.
So Yates' business is he has a chain of pet stores, but they're a front for like trafficking women. So he's obviously a gross man. So because Stanley doesn't have the lady, Stanley's going to be killed. But before that can happen, Lion has a change of heart and decides to return to save his brother. Mm-hmm. So he has a gun and he shoots up and kills everyone except his brother. So then everyone's dead. Stanley, Lion leave, and Lion goes to the Jungleland fight, and he ends up winning. But as he's like being, I don't know, do boxers get crowned or as he's being announced as the winner of the fight, law enforcement come in and take Stanley because he's going to take the rap for all the murders. Mm-hmm. The end.
To what's supposed to be a poignant use of Bruce Springsteen's Dream Baby Dream.
Which was kind of effective.
Kind of, but
that was the end.
It also highlighted, I think, how much more poignant this should have felt.
Okay, so that was rough to get through, but my initial impression of this film was it was trying to be a lot of other things. You said it reminded you of The Fighter.
Well, yeah, the brothers boxing. Mixed
with like Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
And to me, it felt like it was trying to be like that because that movie, the sort of... What made that movie so great is we see this like pathetic loser guy just making all these wrong decisions, but we're still rooting for him. Like we want him to succeed. But these two dummies in this movie, it's like from the jump, there's no chance they're going to make good decisions. And throughout the film, it's just like I didn't feel I cared about what happens to them or that girl.
Right. And Charlie Hunnam's little speech just to Barden about how like his brother really is something special and talented. But then...
But you've lost every fight except...
Kind of. I mean, he does win in the end.
He wins in the end.
But also, he's very close to not winning.
Well, he does win. So when Stanley tries to get the Land Rover repaired and doesn't have any money, he basically works a deal where he says, let my brother fight you like your mechanic, which turns into he can fight. If my brother can beat the two of you like 2-on-1, then we get to take the car and not pay. And if he loses, you guys get to keep the car. So Lion wins. So he does win that fight in the last fight.
It reminded me of, like it was trying to do something like we saw a lot out of the new American cinema of the 1970s, like gritty. Like for some reason, Cinderella Liberty kept coming up in my head as with Marcia Mason and James Caan, but more so The Last Detail with Jack Nicholson and Otis Young, who are the two Navy men that have to escort Randy Quaid, who's about to serve a prison sentence or something for something he did, and they basically take him out gallivanting, and ultimately just question why they're transporting him at all, etc., etc. It felt very much like it was supposed to be in that kind of mode, but never quite gets there. Like the scene where to get money, they go to Sky's parents' house in Indiana.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Which it seems so ludicrous and nonsensical considering the consequences of transporting this. I think she's a minor. But that could have been played in a weird way. Like Charlie Hunnam could have done this Jack Nicholson type thing where he's posing as a preacher man who's trying to provide salvation for their daughter but needs a little money. But
he just shows up looking raggedy as he wants to be. And like it's just such a stupid plan, which this film is just a series of stupid decisions. Also, why I really I was 100% sure this film was set in the early 90s. Based on the look, the styling, the cars we see. And then at the end, after Lion kills
Yates
and all his henchmen, Stanley drops his driver's license on the floor, which is how they're able, like law enforcement is able to show up at Jungleland and arrest him. Mm-hmm. But the audience, we get a close-up of Stanley's driver's license, and it says that it was issued in 2010.
And that he was born in 86.
So Charlie Hunnam's supposed to be anywhere from 24
to 28.
24 to 28. That man looks a whole 40 years old.
Because he is.
So that was
fine.
So I think like it looks like the period is not well represented.
No. Yeah, nobody has cell phones. Well, if it's 2010,
They would have.
maybe.
Whatever. It just feels so off. Like it's trying to do something and it didn't succeed. So here we are.
Yeah. I like Jessica Barden. I think this isn't really a showcase for her yet. I happen to see Pink Skies Ahead out of AFI, which showcases her a lot better. But she has this Maggie Gyllenhaal type melancholy about her. I liked her. It's just that she didn't really have anything to do, and I think there's a lot of weirdness in the dysfunction and trauma that her character logically faced to get where she is that I think could have been explored a little better.
Yeah.
Because even you commented about the flatness of this surrogacy tangent, but that's also been done before. Like right off the top of my head, Juliette Lewis in Way of the Gun. That's her character in a film that I eventually liked better. But this kind of dynamic about two losers, to engage in a scheme can be done. It reminded me a little bit of Mississippi Grind with Ryan Reynolds and Ben Mendelsohn, which does this better because it forms the bond between them better. At the point where the dog is sold, and they do have a resort to fisticuffs, but the feeling we should have at that moment is one of devastation for Jack O'Connell's character.
Couldn't care less.
I know, and I like Charlie Hunnam. I really like Jack O'Connell. I think he's a very interesting, intense young actor. Usually he's playing someone that's really rough around the edges. I don't know. At least if you haven't seen Starred Up from 2013, I recommend that film.
What would you give this film?
2.5 out of 5. I haven't seen any of Max Winkler's previous works. He's the son of
Henry. Oh,
Henry
the
Winkler.
Fonz.
Yeah.
That's right.
which is interesting.
I would give it 2.5 out of 5 as well, just because I think the performances were good.
Yeah.
Just the story's kind of whack to me.
It's just too familiar. It needed a little some odd twists and tweaks, or at least some authenticity in moments where it's kind of lacking.
Anything else?
No.
Bye.
Bye.